now. Welcome to ARW discussion, guys. We got Maddie's workshop. We got Knox Machining. That's Billy. We got Leonard B. JC's machine shop. Journeyman Randy. Rusty Knox and Maddie's workshop again. Okay, so we're all here.
Hey, everybody.
Except there's two of the guys that were supposed to be here that haven't showed up.
Well, we had might have something to do with the time change. I don't know.
You could, but I mean, that was last week, though.
I know.
Yeah, it's the same time for us. Well, in the UK anyway, it's 9 o'clock at night, which was what it's always been.
Yeah. Well, Billy's got more space in his makerspace, and he's wondering about, getting a few suggestions on how to arrange it to keep the dirty stuff in one place, the good, clean stuff in another.
Curtain walls. Goff's curtain walls. I use them here in the shop. There's one behind me, and I can close off the machine side and close it off from the surface grinding. If we're over on the other side cutting, welding, and grinding, or have either one of the surface grinders going, I just slip that curtain closed and keep all the nasty junk off the machines.
What do those cost roughly?
I just bought 2 brand new curtains, one with track, and I came in. I'm 8'6" to the top of my track, so they're basically an 8 foot high curtain, about 12 feet long. I got 2 of them, less than $800.
Yeah, we're basically the space is picked up about 1,700 square feet, and we're doing some reshuffling. Both the machining area and the metalworking area is going to be picking up about 11.5 feet wide, full length of both sections. So probably about another 300 square feet each.
Yep.
But the grinding room, we've got the metalworking area has got a grinding room in it. And in that grinding room sits my surface grinder, sandblast cabinet, and 2x72 and a couple belt sanders and the buffing station.
That's a messy area right there.
It is. I was a little concerned that it may be too messy for the surface grinder with that sandblast cabinet in there. I don't know how bad it is to have a sandblast cabinet literally 2 feet from the surface grinder.
Well, it depends on the dust collection hooked up to the sandblast cabinet, how good your dust collection is.
I used to have my glass beater in my machine room here, and I'm back in the back corner, glass beading away, and I'm just concentrating on what I'm doing, and then I look up, and it's like a fog in my whole machine room. The vacuum port fell off the side of the glass beater, and it was just everywhere. I went, son of a bee. So it's no longer the whole outside.
Well, I've got a 12 horsepower rigid vacuum cleaner hooked up to it.
Did you say 12 horsepower?
12 or 16. One of those big, nice shop vacs. Yeah, it's a big one.
Wow. I didn't know they made them that big.
Of course, that's not a realistic rating.
No, it's not realistic. It's Chinese. It's Chinese horsepower.
It's Chinese horsepower.
Yeah.
They have very little horses over there. Very small horses.
Well,
Hey, Billy, how about taking the exhaust from the wood shop dust collector and blowing that into the filtered air into the machine area? I mean, you're wanting a negative pressure,
Well, I mean, that was the other thing we were talking about is we've got a hole in the wall now that we're going to be venting all the welding fumes and stuff out, and they're wanting to add some vents, some snorkels and stuff for the grinding room as well. I don't think there's a way to get negative pressure without completely walling it off and curtaining it off.
Yeah, and that exhaust is going to pull that woodworking dust into your area.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to do about that either. Hopefully, when we get said and done, we'll be able to put a small curtain above the beam down through the faux wall and maybe segregate it off and put some single curtains in or something. I don't know. We ain't got that far yet. I was just trying to get the layout figured out, really.
Yeah.
We're going to be hopefully adding another Bridgeport style mill in there. We're going to be adding a locksmith section in there, and maybe a jewelry casting and jewelry making bench in there as well. So my section is going to be getting some extra stations in there, and I'm going to need the extra room.
Yeah, none of those take up a whole lot of room, but still, it's space used up.
Yeah, it is. Well, that new Bridgeport or clone will take up a lot of room.
Right.
But that'll be nice for classes and for doing extended setups. You know, if somebody comes in, they want to do a project, they can do their setup and leave it on the Bridgeport for a while. They don't have to tear it down and do the setup again the following day. They can just leave it on there, and if somebody needs to do something, they come in and they can use the other milling machine. That's always a bonus.
Right.
Yeah, once you
Go ahead.
once you go into all the trouble of getting something set up on the mill, you don't have to do it over again.
Yeah,
And
we've had a couple times where we've had to do that, and of course we just hang a note on there saying, do not mess with, we'll be back such and such a day to finish this project up. Get over it.
yeah.
It happens in woodworking too. Somebody will be staining something, and they'll have to leave it on the layup table, and put a note on there. Be back in 12 hours to pick it up. You can't. What are you supposed to do? You can't handle it once you stain it.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
Maybe you need a stain booth.
Well, that's we want to add some sort of little negative pressure curtained off little area in one of the bays for doing staining and stuff like that. Just light fume extraction. Not a paint booth, Stan. Not a legit paint booth.
What do you do with the paint, Billy?
Tell them to go out and use it in the parking lot.
Okay. Hope for good weather.
Yeah, no VOCs inside right now anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, our coffee cups are in the works. They're white mugs with the CNC fake machining on one side, and then it's got the Bar Z oval on the other side. So yeah, I'm getting coffee mugs made.
That's cool.
Good. I don't need a coffee mug that says that.
I hadn't done caffeine since 2001, guys. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It happened over a couple of reasons: teeth, and then being diabetic. It's probably a good thing I'm not doing caffeine.
I tell you, for a while there, I was drinking about 16 cups a day.
Wow.
And I thought, well, that might have something to do with my insomnia, so I cut it out.
I just went woo down.
But
I got a new office chair, and it ain't behaving.
I don't know that it helped me any, because I still got the insomnia.
Yeah, back in my 20s, I was doing about 24 milliyellows off hours in a week, and probably another 12 to 18 during work hours. It rotted my teeth out, and I'm sure it probably led to me being diabetic. So
Yeah, that's a lot of sugar and caffeine.
yeah, and mellow yellow is high up there in the caffeine charts compared to other sodas.
I drink a fair amount of coffee, but if I drink a mellow yellow, I'm a little hyper.
No wonder I'm on California time. Even now, I'm still working that caffeine out, guys.
Chuck, you saw my Seagull yard sale from yesterday?
Yeah, sweet. You got a hero
It
award.
completed my set. Here, I'm going to go get I got a full set of levels now. Check this out.
You got a hero award. First Seagull to the dump gets the best picking.
There you go. Let's see what he got. I got swindled yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I clicked on a scam, and they started buying all kind of tickets and things on my debit card. I'm just lucky I'm a poor boy, and they didn't have enough to pay for it.
Oh, nice.
These are two sizes here of the Starrett level.
Oh, those are pretty.
They look mint.
And then I already had this one, a little baby one. So I got all three of those.
So
Nice.
can I ask, what are you paying
Yeah.
for those? Can you tell us what you pay?
Yeah, I got three levels for $75. The guy knew what they were, but he was retired. And
How did you rob him like that? Stan, you hold him up with a gun or something?
all three of those are Starretts.
That's
I
a
got my
good
big
deal.
199 too. But then I got this one. This is a French made, and I really can't even say the name. It's Nivio Level. But it's this is a very nice level.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Oh, there I got it
Seen one
upside
like
down.
that.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, she's a beauty.
Yeah.
So I got those three level. I got this and the two bigger Starretts for $75.
Really?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with
I
that.
really envy you guys in the States.
sweet.
So we can't get stuff for that price.
And you can get
Yeah,
stuff
I'm
like that here.
I'm sure it's tough overseas finding stuff like this.
Yeah,
Small economy, small market.
Well,
Yeah,
it's just
my,
that it's not around. That's the problem. It's all that stuff. A lot of the engineering stuff in the UK has kind of died down in the 90s or that sort of time. So there just isn't that much around. So anything, you're bidding on eBay for stuff like that. There's not much engineering takes place around here. So
Yeah.
it's mostly eBay stuff. I go to I don't know what you would call it. We call it Auto Jumbo every month. It started off a place where you would go and buy bits for cars and motorbikes and things like that. But over a bit of time, it's sort of more changed to machining stuff. And you can get some good bargains there if you're lucky. But they're few and far between. And mostly I'd be buying from eBay. So I got a level, not as good as that French one you had there. And I think it was 30 quid. And that was only because the guy who was selling it didn't really know what he'd got. But everything seems to be a lot more expensive over here. There just isn't so much of it about.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun to hand one of those levels to an apprentice and tell him to level a piece of pipe. You'll be at it for a while.
That could be me.
everybody picks on the poor apprentices.
Poor apprentices. The 199s, I had 5 of them at one time, and I was snapping them up whenever I saw them on eBay or wherever, and I actually needed them for a job. It's nice to be able to just drop levels out at increments and just leave them there. You don't have to keep moving it. And we actually had to level a 14-foot long American pacemaker that spanned across 3 different concrete slabs. And we were there almost 7 working days getting that machine leveled.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a while.
You put a crowd under it too.
And it was all brand new slab, brand new building. And I told the customer, I said, this isn't going to hold. We're gonna get it level now, and we're going to be back in 6 months because everything's going to settle in.
Why did they have it across 3 different slabs?
It's just the way it laid out in the building.
Oh,
How many feet was it?
14-foot American pacemaker. We got it cutting pretty good, though. It cuts nice over the length of that bed. And then we went back and gave it a tune-up in 6 months, and then we went back in another about 8 or 10 months and did it again. So we've leveled that machine 3 times, and the last time we went out, it hadn't moved hardly at all. So it's settled.
Did you have to do
good.
any twist in the bed also, or just all level?
It was we were taking the twist out of it and getting it level, and just everything, shooting lasers around and doing everything we could think of to get that thing. You know, they wanted it rigidly mounted, so they wanted it bolted down. So we're, you know, even tightening a bolt, torquing it from like 85 foot-pounds and running it up to 100 foot-pounds would change it. Even though you're down and bearing on the shim stack, just tightening the bolt would twist the bed.
Yeah, my closing, I had to actually twist the bed to get it to cut straight. So I got the rear foot is actually bolted down, and the rest of the unit twists. It went from, when I first installed it, it was cutting 6 thou taper, and I had it down to about 6/10.
Well, this machine's so heavy, it's gonna settle in and follow the floor no matter what.
Yeah.
I remember leveling my 1340. It took me a good 4 hours to get it all level. And that's with I was only using one level and had a guy sighting the level, and I was down at the base adjusting it. And he'd tell me when it was good, and then we would move it up to the headstock and do it again. And I kept doing it, you know, all 4 points all the way around till I finally got it.
I mean, this is the American pacemaker uses like a jacking bolt, and right next to the jacking bolt, there's a through hole where you do the floor anchor. So you can pull it down with the floor anchor, and you can jack it up with the jacking bolt. So you've got options, but it still takes an awful lot of time.
I'm sure.
You know.
Hey guys, can I ask you presenters a really dumb question? I can see the comment stream here on the right hand side of my stream, and I want to reply to some, but I don't get a dialog box that I can reply in. I can reply in private chat that only you can see.
I run the YouTube in the YouTube pop-up or YouTube comments in a pop-up, and I full screen StreamYard. So that's how you do it.
Okay, I try. If people have asked me questions, I'm sorry, I haven't found the way to respond yet.
Can you open the YouTube link?
Yeah. And YouTube link. No, I didn't open a YouTube.
Yeah, open YouTube up, and then in the chat area, there's an option there to do pop-out chat, so that you get a separate window for the chat.
Oh, okay. I'll try and do that. I only did the StreamYard link.
Yeah. StreamYard will only display the comments, and you do the pop-out, you can actually talk to people.
Right. Okay. I'll try that. Okay. Well, if I look distracted, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the pop-out chat.
Yeah, that's the way. That's the best way to do it.
Huh.
See, I'm chatting.
Yeah, I use the pop-out chat on the other screen. That's the way I can watch the comments. And
StreamYard's got new features now.
Hey, Everett, are you all
here we go.
Are you all moved in now?
everything's here. Shop is slowly progressing. Like I say, I got the drywall up about a little over a week ago. The last one. Now I'm moving crap away from the walls so I can get at it with a paint roller.
Oh my God!
Because everything, you know how when you're working in a space you're trying to renovate, everything moves over here to work here. Then you move it over here to work here. Then it moves to the middle so you can work. Yeah, it's moving the stuff 5 times while I'm working around it. And there's a set of cupboards that got to come out, then I can start painting. So it's coming ever so slowly. And then we just around life and family and things. And yesterday we went and bought other different vehicles, so that took the whole day. So it's just fun. That's life.
Well, when I painted, I just bit the bullet, and I knew no work's going to get done in the shop. We moved all the machines and everything to the middle of the room, bagged them, threw a tarp over them, then we get all the way around them, and
that's pretty much what I'm in the middle of.
And just work your ass off and don't stop until it's done.
Yeah. That's pretty much the stage I'm trying to get at, moving all the stuff to the middle and still leave a little channel through the middle that I can put a paint roller on the stick to get the ceiling. Yeah, it's coming. And it's interesting hearing you guys talking about leveling and twisting lathes and stuff like that, because, well, we moved the lathes, so I got to go through all that rigmarole once it reaches its happy home again. So,
well, at least you're making progress. It's good. At least you're in the new place.
Yeah. And what the thing is, I realize now during the move process, there was a bit of a design flaw in those feet I made for the lathe stand, and basically it's nice because it lets them twist a little bit, so it keeps the foot flat to the floor. Problem is, I should have figured out I need to do something different as far as the actual retention mechanism. Any sort of slight drag and they pop off, so that kind of sucked. But that was a design flaw on my part. Next time. Yeah. Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Hi, you guys.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Randy.
Little late. I'm going to have to bail on you guys. I'm sorry. I got a project sitting in the lathe there, and emergency repair on the tractor, and we're digging out stumps today, so I got to get it fixed here. So.
Well, you just came in to tell us you were going to bail on us, huh?
Well, yeah. I go, well, I might as well stop in for a minute and say hi.
I think it boils down to hello. I must be going.
Yeah.
What are you using the tractor to remove stumps for? That's what something about, that long and about that big around with a fuse in it's for.
Well, yeah.
That's how my dad used to remove stumps on the farm.
No, we're digging around them, and then we're gonna grind them so we can get it deep as possible below the surface. And the backhoe broke. It's the second time this morning, so I got to fix it. Well, that's the way it goes.
What'd you break on the tractor?
This time at the control, one of the control links broke, and I don't have a spare little ball that goes in the little ball joint, so I'm making a new little ball piece. So we live too far away. And Sunday, you don't run out to just buy something. You got to fix it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I can buy tractor parts on Sunday here either.
Well, it's too far to go, or it's just no.
Well, it's
Easier to make it.
Considering your former line of work, it's pretty much a walk in the park for you. Because when you're in the middle of the ocean, it's harder to get parts.
Yeah, we used to make a lot of things. So, hey, you guys have a good one.
Yeah, take care, Andy.
See
Talk to you
ya.
guys
Randy.
later.
Randy.
Take it easy, Randy.
Yeah, so I mentioned that we're going to be picking up that clone knee mill, clone Bridgeport. It's got a bit of a rattle in the head, unlike what I've heard. Starting to think it's maybe the dog clutch in there, but I'm not too sure.
Is it a variable speed or a belt changer?
It's a J head.
Oh my God, what happened?
I don't hear the rattle when we put it in the back gears, but when I put it back into high gears, I hear the rattle. And no, it's not the drawbar. I pulled the drawbar out. There is some slop in the quill spline too. I can grab the spindle and jerk it back and forth, and it rattles and that. But I don't think that's it.
I think it's the splines in the drive, spline drive.
It may be the splines, and it may be the dog clutch, or it may be both. I don't know. I'm gonna have to tear into it. I was not too sure.
We had the splines coated on an actual Bridgeport. We had them Teflon sprayed and baked. It's a process that one of my customers did, and the splines were really hammered. The drive splines were really hammered on this machine, and we were thinking, we'll just replace the whole thing. And the guy was kind of a tightwad. He didn't want to spend the money, so we polished it all out with Scotch-Brite wheels and got it blended as good as we could, and had them Teflon coated, and it ran really quiet.
Did it?
It felt really solid after that.
It may be the splines then. I don't know. I guess I could throw some grease in there temporarily just to see if it dampens the noise.
Yeah, just brush it on. It never lasts. You got to re-oil it constantly. They tell you to put 2 drops of oil on the top of the drawbar, lower it 2 inches, and start the machine, and that'll sling oil out into the female spline.
Right. I was thinking more just a diagnosis. Put some grease in there to take up the rattle, just to see if that's actually the rattle.
Right. Yeah.
And if that's it, then flush it and
I
figure
use
out what to
grease.
do.
I use white grease on my drill press. That quill comes out really easy. You just pull the stop out of it, and it's like a cartridge. It just comes out of the bottom.
I can't believe you have to take the whole top head off just to replace the freaking V belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Either that or you cut it and you put one of those splice belts in there, the link belts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to use on my lathe. The belts. It's got 2 belts running around the spindle.
Mm-hmm.
Those suckers got pieces sticking up and all sort of things. Here lately, it's got to where if I take too big a cut, it'll stall the spindle. So I guess I'm up to the point where I'm going to have to put on link belts. But I don't want to take it apart.
Someone was asking about Ox Tools, how he's doing. He posted yesterday on Instagram. He's doing well. He's moving some of his he's moving crates over to the new place. I think his goal is to be out. Was it by the end of this month, Chuck? Do you know?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. I don't know whether because he said he's going to bite the bullet and pay an extra month at the old place, but I don't know whether he meant the end of November or the end of December.
Yeah.
How far is he from his job now that he's moving?
Long ways.
Couple 3 hours maybe.
Yeah.
2.5, 3.
He said he's going to stay with his parents during the week and at home at the shop on the weekends.
That's kind of what I figured it was. It's too far from work.
Yeah, I don't remember him. Yeah.
That's what all the good land is, like here in Texas. Up in East Texas is paradise, out in the forest and nobody around. But there's no job there either,
Well,
That's where they need jobs like I've got.
There's nothing out there to support the property either. I've been to places where they're kind of homesteading and they're always working. They need lumber and they need materials and they need all kinds of stuff to work on the place. And the nearest supply is 2 hours away.
Oh yeah.
You don't just run around the corner to Home Depot. When you go to when you go to the supply yard, you plan your work very carefully.
Yeah, that wouldn't work well for me. I'm doing a plumbing job. I make 3 trips to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Well, you get what you thought you needed the first time. The second time you get what you thought you was getting the first time. And then the third time you get something else and you make it work.
I often when I go to Home Depot, I just pick up extra crap. I think I may need this. I'm not sure if I need this. This looks good. And I'll throw it all in the bag. And what I don't need, I take back and get a refund on it.
Over here, I think with COVID and all that stuff, it's really driven us to buy online. And my nearest, let's call it Home Depot. It doesn't matter. It's the equivalent. My nearest is about 3 miles away, and I won't even get the car out to go there if I can get it online. So if I can plan it ahead, I've got more choice and put the order in. If I can wait 2 or 3 days, it just comes through the letterbox. Well, obviously, depending what it is.
Right.
So I don't even bother going anymore. I think, well, it's going to cost me, I don't know, £3 to drive there and back. Am I going to bother, for something that costs £5?
Yeah, and then they might not have it.
Yeah, that's right. I tend to do click and collect. So even going to the local hardware store, it'll be a national chain. So I just look it up, and if it's something I need like this afternoon, then I'll do click and collect. And I'll order it online. They'll reserve it. They send you a text or an email to say your box of bolts is reserved for you. And then basically you walk in, show them the code on your phone, and you're out within 5 minutes. But so I think just the COVID thing has just driven everybody so much more online here.
Same here.
We're not locked down anymore, but we're just lazy. We just got used to it, and it's why change? Why get off my seat when I can just get on this PC and it'll turn up through the letterbox?
Well, because of this COVID thing, a lot of things are mail order that didn't used to be anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are relying on Amazon and different types of mail services that they didn't used to do, and now it's in place, and they've rose to meet the demands.
Yep.
Now it's sitting there, and people are used to doing the mail order stuff.
Yep. You can. Amazon, but others as well are so good. If it's in stock, you can order it at 7 o'clock at night, and then something by lunchtime tomorrow, it's here.
It's there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Even particularly things like building stuff as well. Stuff for building, like pipe work, copper pipes. All that sort of stuff, your basic builder's merchant stuff. You buy that online and it's here the next day, because if they can't deliver it by the next day, they just won't get any business,
Right.
because they're competing against the local, whatever your equivalent is, builder's yard that's just up the road. So it's got to arrive the next morning, otherwise they're never going to buy it online.
Where I live, literally the Home Depot and Lowe's are like a quarter mile from me, as is the grocery store. I mean, I live up on a big hill overlooking the main drag through town and the interstate, away from the noise, but everything's literally, I go to the end of my street and down the hill, and I'm right there at everything.
Yeah.
I like going to the Home Depot and Lowe's when I'm doing a project when I don't know what I need, because then I can go sit down in the aisle and sit there, grab the parts off the shelf,
True enough.
fit them together and say, yeah, that's what I need. And that kind of thing. I can't do that online.
Yeah, I agree. But if you want to laugh, really, we have a fish and chip shop about 6 doors from us, and they do a delivery service for £1. So, I don't know what that is, $1.40. And literally, we sit here on our phone, we order up our fish and chips, and then the guy comes to the door. It's 6 doors, I kid you not. And if they're not sure, these young lads come on a bicycle with like a Deliveroo big backpack on, and they say, fish and chips? And I go, yeah. Fish and chips? Because the young lad can't believe I ordered it from 6 doors away. But for £1, honestly, if you put in a 15 or £20 order, it's only £1 to have it delivered. It's not worth getting up your backside. You may as well have somebody bring it to the door.
We use DoorDash every now and then.
Yeah.
Instead of going out, just order it and boom, it's there.
Why not? It's made us lazy, this COVID thing.
I'll do that on other orders, but we got a Pizza Hut that's literally right down the bottom of the hill, and I'll call that one in for carry out because I don't feel like paying the $4 or $5. It's not a pound.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. So
I'll a tip. We don't give tips here.
Right.
If somebody stands there looking for a tip, you go like, "What do you want? Go away," because we don't. It's not the way it works here. So you don't have to give tips or anything. They'd be confused probably if you tried to give them money. They think you were.
Some places giving tips is actually rude behavior.
Yeah. Well, we
did a restaurant on the weekend there, going for breakfast, and when they put the bill, they go, "Oh, we put a 20% tip in there, just so you know."
Yeah,
they tell you so you don't double up on them.
Well, I was once on holiday in, I think it was Hawaii, and obviously tipping is what happens there. And I ordered a pizza, and it came to the door, and this guy came and said, "Here's your pizza," and I said, "Oh, that's good, thank you, bye bye." And he's like, "Well, where's my tip?" And then he said to me, "Apologies, guys," but he said to me, "You're Australian." And I went, "Well, not actually, but you still don't get a tip. Go away." until we realized actually, that's important money to people. Whereas here it's just something on top. Whereas I realize, in the States and other places, it is expected as part of the salary. So then once I realized, then I started tipping. But
waiters and such that usually get about $2 an hour.
Yeah.
And you can't live on $2 an hour.
No, but we didn't understand that.
Tips. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But when you first visit, you don't understand. If you don't do it where you live, you don't understand. Once you realize, then you start tipping, of course.
The cultural context. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of question is that? If I drug test my employees and you need a job, what are you trying to say?
I got a feeling he's not going to pass.
Are you a weed-friendly employer?
Am I a weed-friendly employer? Not while you're on the job, I'm not.
I worked in the evil polluting refinery, and we had this one guy, they called him Lumpy, I think it was. And all the cables run underneath the floor, and there's like 2-foot square tiles. We pick them up with a suction cup and crawl on the floor and move cables around. So he was working on one side of the hole I was opening on the floor, and another guy on the other. And I popped this hole out, and the board operator was sort of in a circle there. And I went around the circle and said, "Guys, I got a hole in the floor right here. See that hole? Please don't walk off in that hole or back your chair off in that hole." Oh yeah, we won't do it. We won't do it. So I went between the little space between all the consoles, got around back behind the thing, popped the tile open back there, and I hear Lumpy fall in the hole. And I mean, I just told him not to do it, but he was one of those guys that got drug tested every week.
I had a guy come to me back about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, comes into my office and sits down. He's a finished carpenter. And he goes, hey, goes, where do you get your stuff? I go, what? He goes, where do you get your shit, man? Where do you get it? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, come on. He goes, you do coke, man. You're a cokehead. I go, I'm a cokehead? He goes, you're 100 miles an hour all day long. I said, that's just natural, buddy. And I don't do nothing. You got to be. And I go, if you're doing this shit, you better not be doing it at work. See you later. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got a good work ethic, don't you?
Yeah, just a hard work ethic. Go, go, go.
Poor old Lumpy finally failed his drug test again, and he had to go.
I don't care what people do off the clock. Doesn't matter. Just don't show up stoned to my jobs.
We always call it the IQ test.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I work for some serious people sometimes, and they want serious results. So I gotta. We're on our best behavior when we're on site.
Yep.
Be professional, of course.
Yeah. It's also a safety thing. I mean, do you really want somebody who's high running a forklift running around your site?
Oh no.
You know, it's a safety thing. It's totally a safety thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't want to lose your contract either, do you?
Yeah.
Think about if you're working in a place where everything is flammable or explosive or something. You know, you kind of don't want the guys to be slacking off.
And you don't want them lighting something up behind a shed where there might be a leak.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, we had a guy for a little while, and he was on the wagon, going to AA meetings and all that stuff. He was clean, but it was like he was permanently stoned or something. It just whatever he did, it fried his brain, and he just was incapable of thinking. And I can't imagine he was like that to begin with. You know, something made him that way. He was always really, really slow. You know, you say, "Hey, there's something falling on you," and he go, "Huh?" You know, he's just really slow to react, and he just wasn't sharp at all.
Well, there's some of them things that will literally slow people down in the processing. I mean, it's like cutting your CPU and megahertz in half or something. You know? Once it happens, it happens. They ain't going back to full speed.
Yeah. I got a relative who was a boss in this plant, and he had this guy that was a real good worker and did everything just right all the time. But if there was any kind of an accident, all the major companies, they immediately drug test you. So this guy was carrying an airplane wing around on the forklift, and he accidentally hit something with it. Well, that's off to be drug tested. Sure enough, he failed. And he said, I just had one joint over the weekend, with a buddy of mine. He said, I hadn't done anything like that in 40 years. And he said, I don't know. But, my relative said, well, I'm sorry. We got to fire you because that's the rules, There you go. He said he hated to see the guy go because he'd always been a really good employee, worked real hard, but they were contracting the government, and those were the rules.
So here's one. Check your inventory. Carl, my buddy, just sent me a note. I designed myself into a hole and I'm having trouble to getting out of it. Do you have a 11:30 seconds X5C collet in your toolbox?
11:30 seconds?
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
Yep, nope. He knows I buy a lot of stuff, but not that.
Make a sleeve.
Make a sleeve. A hex sleeve?
Yeah, there you go. That'll keep you busy all day.
Brush it out.
Well, just doing the math, it comes out to about 8 3/4 millimeter. Are there metric 5Cs that you get squished down a bit?
I wonder.
I don't use 5C, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking honestly.
Yeah.
There are definitely 5C collets that are metric, but I don't.
Yes. Would a 9 millimeter squish down a 1/4 millimeter to do what he needs to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Got any metrics, or is that you have to?
He's not a metric guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any metrics, or have
Oh
you?
no, I don't have.
Well,
very
there you go.
little metric.
There's another grail list for you on your eBay
Yeah,
finds.
right.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Yeah, 1132 is kind of a bastard size there.
Yeah.
You can get one of those ones that you machine out yourself.
He must need a
then
hex.
how do you broach that out?
You see one, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
X, isn't it? So do you
Yeah.
guys work mostly in Imperial, or do you do some stuff in metric as well?
I do
Yes.
both. They're just numbers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I can use. Go ahead.
I was
got
just going to
30.
say I'm switching backwards and forwards when I'm talking on the channel. I'm forever switching. Between them, I talk about.
Well,
A friend
it's
of mine gave
frustrating
me-
when
Cheers.
it's frustrating when drawings show up that are mixed, imperial and metric,
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah.
and that happens pretty frequently over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm comfortable using both. I would happily use metric equipment if I had it, whatever. It's just most of the equipment that I've been able to find for a reasonable price is graduated in inches. So, I mean, if I get a DRO at some point, I'll start making more metric projects as metric. It's just, otherwise I'm constantly converting back and forth, but I'm happy with either. You have to be bilingual in Canada.
I typically do Imperial, but there's a lot of stuff that I have to deal with that's metric. So it's just as simple pushing the button on the DRO.
I mean, the one thing that I always struggle with, and this is when I always go back to Imperial, really, is I really struggle with a metric micrometer, just the way it's graduated. Because you know how each mark is like half a millimeter, one turn is half a millimeter. And I just find I'd make too many mistakes. So I use digital calipers, because I don't have a DRO. I'm not commercial or need it or anything. So my lathe is metric. I decided that I wanted a metric lathe when I was choosing one. It's only a hobby lathe. It's like an apprentice training type lathe, so it's a little bit bigger than a standard garage lathe, perhaps a home lathe, but it's not as big as a commercial lathe. So I use the digital calipers mostly, but if I want something really spot on, I'll use a micrometer. But I try and avoid metric micrometers because I just find them confusing compared to Imperial. So that's about the only time I really jump back to Imperial.
All my machines have Imperial lead screws on them, and
Right.
I've got the 127 tooth transposing gear that I put on the Logan.
Yeah.
That gets you incredibly close. It's not
Yes.
exact.
Yeah.
Yes. If your threads are running, several inches long, there'll be an error in there. It's an accumulative error. But if your threads are only a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch long, you'll never know the difference. They'll thread right in.
Yes. Yeah.
And then between the transposing gear and I had a little cheat sheet that I just kind of tape onto my gearbox, and I can use the quick change gearbox to make metric threads.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, the lathe I've got as a metric lead screw. It's a 6 millimeter, which get that right? I think so. 6 millimeter pitch lead screw. But the screw cutting gearbox was actually Imperial, and they didn't change the design. They went to metric. So the change gears are different, but they just added one extra knob, and that extra knob just gave you more metric pitches. But what it means is on my metric lathe, I can cut Imperial really easily because the original gearbox was an Imperial screw cutting gearbox. But I mean, obviously, I need to be careful cutting Imperial, not to disengage the half nuts because I lose track and can't get back again.
Yeah.
But and I've realized, I suppose you all know this, but I realized just trying to figure it out, you need far, far, far more settings on an Imperial box, whereas metric screw cutting boxes are, they're more standardized in there's only a certain number of sizes you need, whereas of course in Imperial it's virtually all the numbers.
When I was,
I
when I
got a
was
Craftsman lathe, and you would expect it to be kind of limited, but I got to look in the book, and they list all the different gear sizes that I need, so that I can cut metric threads through the regular quick change gearbox that's on the lathe. So I made about 8 or so gears to let me cover all the different metric pitches.
Right.
that 1340 I picked up. One of my requirements was being able to do mostly Imperial and metrics without having to muck around with the change gears. And fortunately, I can hit just about every Imperial gear except some weird oddball ones that are half change gears. And then on the metrics, I can pick up almost everything except for a few oddballs that I'd never need without the change gears. And I've got the change gears, so.
But you got to reverse on which one? The metrics?
Huh?
You got to reverse when you make a second pass?
Yeah, I mean, it's Imperial lead screw, so yeah, you can't disengage the half nut, just like everybody else. But I was thinking maybe of picking up James Clout's electronic lead screw. That would that'd be the end of it. You wouldn't have to worry about it. Just stick it in the one setting and be done with it. I am kind of curious though with that if you have to leave the half nuts engaged if you're doing metric when using that. I don't know how that would work. I have to ask him. Maybe he knows.
I've cut a lot of metric threads with the Imperial gears. You just get close on a nut or something like that. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's not long. Nut's not long, is it? So
no.
For a few threads, it's probably fine.
If it's an adjustment or something, it'd be different.
True enough.
As long as you're not cutting another 2 or 3 foot long lead screw, you should be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're just threading for a nut, it's not a problem.
Well, Bill, you're talking about those like the 4.5 or half type threads. That's mostly pipe stuff, isn't it? For like when you wind up in the half threads.
I ain't got a clue.
I've never used one. I've never needed one. Like some of the bigger pipe threads, like a half off thread.
Yeah. I don't think I'll never need it either.
I've never needed to cut a half thread either.
There's another thread standard out there, and I'm trying to think of what it is. This Taiwanese lathe, there was a version of it that did, is it Wentworth or?
Whitworth.
Whitworth.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a gearbox version of this lathe that'll do all three.
It's only the same.
Whitworth is just a different thread form. It's still got the same pitch.
Yeah.
Apart from half inch.
The half inch.
It's pretty much half inch. UNC is 13 TPI and half inch Whitworth is 12.
Yeah. But
for most of the rest, for the sort of sizes that I work with anyway, it's as he says, it's only the thread form. Whitworth's 55 degrees.
And what was it I'm thinking of then? Because it had 3 different types of gears in there. Then I'll have to go back and look.
Well, that and the Whitworth spanner sizes, because the Whitworth spanners aren't really your size for the actual shaft of the bolt.
That's
and then
right.
It depends on if you're using British wartime emergency standard. And that was a fun adventure to learn about.
I wasn't in the war though. So
I think Whitworth threads are 55 degrees instead of 60.
They are 55 degrees, and they're an Imperial pitch.
Yep.
And they're on like MG midgets and stuff like that. And they get over here in the U.S. And, the U.S. regular Imperials kind of go in there and they feel okay. That feels okay. Put an impact on it. Run it in.
Yep.
And then you're in trouble all of a sudden.
Okay.
First the day those guys invented that thread.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the early 70s, I worked on a lot of British motorcycles, and I wound up having about a few Whitworth tools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had to buy some when I was doing my Alba shaper.
I won't even allow those taps in the same drawer as my Imperial trap. If they're the same diameter and the same thread pitch, I'll screw them up. I've got all my Whitworth stuff's got its own drawer.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a toolbox of Whitworth equipment specifically for the
You
shaper.
can't see the difference
yeah.
by eye.
You can't.
You can't see
No,
it.
you can't. You can't.
No.
All
Not
right.
between Whitworth and UNC. No.
I figured it out. I'm sorry, it's not that. They've got three. They got a metric, an imperial, and they got one called a universal gearbox. That's what it was.
Oh, don't know that.
What's the universal gearbox?
I'm looking here. I think it's just got more. I think it's just easier, more gears in it, from what I can tell.
All right.
Um,
And we have the small stuff. We have BA as well, British Association. So that's, really quite small stuff. The stuff you find in electrical books and all that stuff.
0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, and 0.9 in metric. One and a quarter, 1.5, 1.75, 2 and a quarter, 2.5, 2 and 3/4, 3 and a quarter, and 3.5 metric. 7.5 in imperial, 4.5, 11.5, 13.5. That's some weird stuff there.
Yeah.
I got some weird stuff on my South Bend. I got 2.5, 2 1/4 threads per inch.
Really?
Yeah, that's just a fast moving carriage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, that's what it is. You get some extra. You get some extras for that universal, because on the imperial version, I can only do 0.5, 0.6, 0.75, 0.9, and 1 and a quarter, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So I don't get those lower end metrics. Is what it is. It looks like.
Who's doing the extra thing there? I'd show it, but it's gone.
No,
Let you.
why would you need a 2.5 threads per inch or 2 threads per inch?
That'd be
You're
pretty
doing an acme
coarse.
screw or something.
Have to
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
It'd be a fast moving whatever.
No, I know.
It sounds like something in the sales brochure.
Yeah, maybe. I saw that when I got the lathe, and I thought, am I looking at this wrong? What is this? But it moves fast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Cut away from the chuck.
Yeah, worm gears. Somebody said on the comments, maybe for putting worm gears or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible, isn't it?
I wish I had a gear hob. That'd be a neat little thing to have, because
That would be the way to cut gears.
The word.
yeah, apparently you can cut your gear in just a matter of a few minutes.
Yeah,
Oh.
one cutter for each gear pitch and pressure angle. You don't have to have a bunch of cutters for different gear sizes.
I actually want to experiment with single point cutting gears using something like a fly cutter and a gear tooth profile.
I've done it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's pretty painful.
Oh, it's slow going.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
Now, I'll tell you what, I repaired a tooth is what I did. And near as I could tell, I got it perfect, but I could still hear the darn thing when I put it in the lathe. It was a bowl gear.
Yeah, it doesn't take much off on a gear cog
You
to
got to be dead
make a
on.
racket.
Yeah, you got to be dead on.
I like cutting gears, but I don't have much need to do it.
I primarily wanted to do it for doing the robotics applications, for making actuators and joints and stuff like that. Maybe some pulleys, save some money, not have to buy it. But
It saved you a lot of money.
not by the time you have to pay for the tooling to do it.
I got a friend with a machine shop's got all the cutters, a large one. So, but I do need to cut some gears for my South Bend. That'll probably be a future project, learning curve.
Yeah.
Well, if you just need the gears, I know there's a gear shop up in Ventura, and he'll mail order whatever you need. It's called Evolvent Design. His name's Andrew. Great guy, and you can get gears made cheaper than you think.
Yeah, I tell you what, I priced some. I can't remember who I priced them through, and they were like, $400 for one gear. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. We're doing one-offs. I mean, if we're going to make a gear in a manual shop, we're going to make one gear. We're not making a whole bunch of them.
Right.
But he's got all the founder machines, the hobbing machines over there. I think he's got 6 of them. And he does large runs, small runs. Whatever.
Yeah, I bet it'd still be pretty high though. I'm
Possibly.
sure he's reasonable for, hourly rate or whatever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference whether you're a big business that you can't afford to take the time, pay somebody to make one thing,
right.
as to being a home shop kind of guy that, you got lots of time and not much money.
I've cut a gear before. It was for my a threading dial, but it wasn't true profile. I didn't do it with a gear cutter.
I've got 20-degree pressure angle gear cutters and a 14.5 pressure angle, and I got a set of each. And I've made several gears, with them. But when I'm making the gear myself, it usually takes me about an hour, depending on, of course, how many teeth.
What was the material you were making it out of?
Usually I use aluminum because why make it out of steel with something I'm going to use around here when I'm not going to last as long as the aluminum.
I'm thinking about plastic.
I'm still looking for that horizontal attachment for the Bridgeport too, so I can play around with. I mean, you don't technically need it for gears, but it'd be nice to have it.
A Delrin probably worked for change gears.
Yeah.
Probably just as good as aluminum.
Yeah, I had lots of aluminum.
Yeah.
I made a lot of gears for my Craftsman lathe so I could, cut metric threads through the gearbox. And, I had the time and I had just aluminum is what I had here.
Right.
So
I hadn't seen anybody doing videos on tooth belt pulleys. Those are pretty common in the timing pulleys.
Yeah.
Those are pretty much cut like a gear with a specific profile. I hadn't seen anyone do videos on that.
No. Where I used to work, we kept some of that in stock. Is like a spline shaft you'd make pulleys out of.
Yeah.
In fact, I got some here. Right. I don't need it. It was just something to throw away.
I've seen people. I've heard of people doing those with a single point cutting too. You just grind the proper angles on your single point cutter and
It worked.
do it just like you do it with a gear.
Yeah, but I always wonder about just how good, how close can you get to the regular gear? I mean,
Did your gears run good?
yeah, my gears ran good. I mean, I used gear cutters.
Right. Oh yeah, grinding a profile. Yeah.
So they had them run good.
I got real close, but I just had one tooth slightly different. So it made
All
noise.
it takes.
One narrow tooth.
I mean, you could hold it in the good teeth and it looked identical, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the fact that it was not quite right. It was just different.
Hey, Al.
Hey, Al, you're just in time.
Hey, everybody. I'm like, we're having
Yeah.
a blizzard. We're having
Yeah.
a blizzard here.
Well, that's good.
Wow.
Your action and your words are all
Then my
disconnected.
internet-
Well, it's now our hour has come to an end, and it's time to say goodbye, folks. And I appreciate all of you guys watching from home and making comments. And I want to thank all these fine gentlemen here that showed up today to enlighten us with their knowledge. And we'll see y'all next Sunday. Bye now.
Thank you guys.
See you later. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
See ya.
Thanks.